Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the 2020 Venus in Gemini retrograde transit, part 1 of 2. And as far as this transit goes, it's going to begin on May 13th, 2020, and it will end on June 25th, 2020. So you're looking at approximately 6 weeks of this transit. It's it's going to be retrograde for that period. And during this time, first off, this could be about, in some cases, the return coming, the return, comes a Gemini lover coming back into one's life or relationship. It could even be a close friendship. It could be a Gemini sun, moon, or sun person, or simply one that embodies Gemini characteristics. It could be somebody that's very mercurial, restless, very versatile, diversified, a talkative, loquacious person. It could be a person that might be somewhat contradictory or hard to understand. If there's somebody that had been out of your life for some time that was a Gemini sun, moon, or ascendant person, or one that acted like it embodied these traits, is a good chance they could be coming back and making a return unexpectedly at this time. And the thing about this too is when you're talking about retrograde periods, it could be about things that you're retrieving that maybe had been lost for some time. You're talking about Venus connected with love and romance. Gemini, of course, is associated with communications. This could be manifest in some cases as some letters or messages, some communications that may have been from lovers that maybe you're finding at this time. It could be in an email, like in a spam filter. It could be some actual written letters that maybe had got lost somehow, whether it was in the mail or what have you. And it's a time where you maybe a better chance or propensity of retrieving these things at this point in time. Now, another way that this could manifest and pan out, you're talking about, Venus is also associated with money. It could be where many people might be getting some retroactive pay. It could be like from disability. Let's say you have this like in your first or your sixth house in your natal chart. Of course, the first house is connected with the physical body. Sixth house is associated with physical health issues. So if it's in one of these houses especially, you may be getting something, some money coming from, if you had applied for Social Security and you had waited for some time to get this. It could be something for Gemini related. For those some people may have had some kind of shoulder or arm, hand, finger injury which may have prohibited from working substantially, and this could be the time where that money may be coming back, coming to a person. It might be that money that was retroactive. And those of you that have received disability pay understand what I'm saying. It's retro period for a very good part of the time that you've basically, that you're going to get. It's like from the time you applied or what have you. So but anyway, you could look that up and confirm what that means 100%. But anyway, another thing too is that when we're looking at you're looking at this, this could be something too where, this is another thing where you could be getting money in terms of like if there was money owed to you at a place of employment or work. It can be something like Gemini related. Let's say this falls, especially if it falls in one of what I call the money work houses in one's astrological chart, the second, sixth, or 10th house. It could be something from some Gemini position, such as some communication field or journalism, reporting, data, or satellite communication, something connected with dexterity that involves the strong use of the hands, proficiency with the hands like auto or refrigeration mechanics. And if there had been money that had been owed to you for some time, this could be a time where you may be retrieving it. Now, and the thing about it is, it could be a time too. I mean, looking at this as well, it could be a time, since we're talking about Venus, of course, retrograde is that apparent backward motion of the planet, and Venus again is associated with money. It could be about losing money. There might be a greater propensity to losing money, unfortunately, at this time, and there might be more susceptibility to money being lost through. I mean, since this is in Gemini, like thieves or pickpocketers, people that are, it could be con artists, it could be that fast talking salesperson that cons you, that talks you into getting something and promises a lot more than he or she can deliver. It could be something simply through that fine art of trickeration. It could be like people calling others in the middle of the night, trying to say they're from a bank, getting their social security, I mean, getting your bank, your credit number, credit card information, account information, or what have you. So those are some ways that could manifest. Some kind of identity theft might be more prevalent at this time, and people losing money to that. So it's very important at this time, people especially, to be very guarded against these tricksters at this point in time, because they might figure more prominently, more so than ever. But anyway, well, Venus in Gemini retrograde, it could also manifest in the reevaluation of relationships. These could be love, romantic relationships. It can be also your important significant friendships. It could be a time where are you getting, like, you might be inquiring with yourself. Hey, Gemini's inquisitive energy, right? But you may be inquiring within yourself, am I getting enough intellectual stimulation, variety? Is there enough communication? Am I actually learning something from this person that I'm involved with? There might even be something where you like to have a little mischief in the connection every now and then. It might be something, are you becoming more learned? These are things that you may be inquiring within yourself and asking yourself at this time when Venus in Gemini is retrograde. You might even be interested in like trivia and things of that nature. And if you're not, and also vivacious energy, animated energy, if there were in something that's very interesting, if the relationship is such where it's become monotonous or mundane or overly tedious, it may be something where you're thinking, well, this is time perhaps to move on, and it could be as a result actually of some negative Gemini like energy that you might be reevaluating the connections, such as gossiping, or you're involved with a conversation dominator. It could be somebody that might not always be telling you the truth, that might be known for prevarication and things of that. Somebody that's overly high strung or excitable. Those are some things you may be evaluating too at this time. Now, keep in mind too that when Venus energy, I mean, when you're talking about retrograde energy can often be very subtle and indirect. And given that this is Gemini, I mean, it can be something where you're getting like something that might be, if you're trying to convey your feelings of your heart, it can be, I mean, somewhat subtle, I mean, but flavored with something very clever as well. But also to keep in mind, it can be a delayed expression of love. Now, this is not, might not be the best example, but I'm throwing this out arbitrarily for those of you old school that had a VCR. I mean, as an example, like somebody ejecting a tape out of their VCR player, and on it somehow, on a piece of paper taped to the VHS tape, it says "I love you," something that might be very shrewd, very clever. And going back to like an example, like a subtle, indirect way of conveying this, it could be like, saying in a group of people, and somebody at your place of employment, for example, say you're a Gemini person, says, well, I really wish I could date a Gemini, or something like that. That's more subtle and indirect. And or it could be when someone may say, hey, you know what, when somebody could be writing you from a different state and you're corresponding with them through email, and they said, yeah, the full moon's going to come out when we go to bed, and really meaning when we go to bed, meaning something else more intimate, but trying to be subtle in the process. So those are some ways that can manifest and pan out. Also too, Keep in mind that Venus is associated with the throat. So you're looking at it being retrograde, and in fact it's in Gemini. It might be very there might be throat issues. It might be more prevalent sore throat issues at this time. Coughing, it might be harder to articulate and communicate certain things at this time, and even I love yous to others for that reason. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. Anyway, well, Venus is also about self-esteem and self-worth. So this could be about a time where you might be reviewing some things. Venus retrograde, retrograde energy could be about reviewing, and Venus can be associated with self-worth and self-esteem. So it can be reviewing some things that are tied in with self-esteem issues that are related to mimicry. Gemini related as an example, mimicry. If somebody is like constantly mimicking you or making fun of you, even if they're not malicious, these could be some issues you may be pondering at this time. Or is mimicry something that's making you happier at someone else's expense in order for you to have greater self-esteem? It can be also issues with versatility and variety. Do you feel that you're well-rounded enough? These are some things you may be contemplating at this time. It could be issues, are you multifaceted enough? Or are you able to do certain things with your hands? Like, are you dexterous? Are you able to, it could be things where maybe you're called upon to do things associated with dexterity more, such as working on a vehicle, the use of your hands, and maybe there in some cases there may be an inability to do this, or your old thumb, so to speak, mechanically, or as far as your hands go, and you may feel it might be doing something to undermine how you feel about yourself. Are you somebody that's a good conversationalist? Are you articulate and eloquent? Can you speak well? Those are some issues that many people may be contemplating right at when we're talking about this retrograde period. Are you living your achievements through someone else? Gemini energy can be associated with vicariousness. So it can be also, Gemini energy can also be saddling a negative manifestation about dissipating oneself through lack of an integrating purpose. And it could be where maybe you're doing this for one person, doing this for someone else, especially like say if you have Gemini prominent in your own chart. Are you valuing doing too many things at once? And let's say this is in your first house in your natal chart and you're having this transit. It may have some issues perhaps with the vitality, your physical energy, because you are talking about the first house in astrology, and even if it's in the sixth house, it may have some impact as well, I would think, because it's about Venus is about what you're putting your value in, what you're enjoying, and it could be doing too many things practically simultaneously could have an impact on your health. So it's something that you may be considering at this time. And also too, it could be about Gemini type. Venus is about what we enjoy, what is fun in our lives. So it could be about cerebral games such as haiku or chess or lumosity. Are these the things that are making you feel good? Being able, do you feel competitive, intellectually competitive in these games? Gemini sports, let's say you're having this transit in your fifth house in your chart. The fifth house can be about our fun, amusement, enjoyment, our hobbies, even sports. So if this is in the fifth house in one's natal chart, it could be about your enjoyment in Gemini-like sports such as badminton or ping pong, because of course those are about quick reactions. That could be Gemini related. Are these things things that you want to keep doing? And these are if you are involved in it, as an example. And also too, you're talking about, Venus can be associated with art. So this could be about going back to maybe something that's artistic, that's Gemini related, such as animated art, or if you're a singer, or you're involved with music, it could be singing with a lot of eloquence. So, and these are things that one may be going back to at this time, or some old, anyway. People, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for my take on the 2020 Venus and Gemini retrograde transit part 1 of 2. Stay tuned next time where I'll be talking about the 2020 Venus and Gemini retrograde transit part 2 of 2. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.